Good morning. This is Undisputed on a Friday. This is the day I always wear black. And I wear the chain that Lil Wayne gave me, which, as you see today, right here, rests on top of the greatest logo ever. This is Wayne on top of MJ. This is GOAT on top of GOAT. Now, you should also know that my man Shannon Sharpe wears his chain from Lil Wayne just about every day. And I don't know why, but it has never, ever helped him win one debate from me. But you know what? Maybe today is the day. Maybe you're going to see the greatest upset in the history of the world. So I must welcome in my man Shannon Sharpe. Good morning and good luck.
Good morning, Skip. But the one thing that's different than you and I is that I receive words of encouragement every morning from the GOAT that's still playing.
Oh, that guy, the phony GOAT. We're going to get to him in just a little bit here on the show a couple of times. And today, Shannon Sharpe, this show is loaded from top to bottom because in just a few minutes, we're going to get to Jerry Jones making an offer to Dak Prescott to become the highest paid player in the National Football League, and Dak still hasn't signed that deal. What? And in a little bit, we're going to get to LeBron James making his first public quote since this forced layoff, and he said some outrageous things that I can't wait to talk about. And we're also going to get to a comment that Magic Johnson made yesterday about LeBron James being the greatest player in sports today. I got a big problem with that one. But we start off today, Mr. Sharpe, with Bruce Arians talking about no more Antonio Brown rumors going to Tampa Bay because he has flat out slammed the door on that. He was on CBS Sports Network yesterday, was Bruce Arians, and he said, it's not going to happen. There's no room and probably not enough money, but it's not going to happen. It's not a fit here. Then he went on to say, when asked about the fit in the locker room, yeah, I just know him, and it's not a fit in our locker room. So I remind everyone, Bruce Arians was the offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh for Antonio's first 2 years as a Steeler. And I'm going to remind everyone that Antonio did play one game this past football season with Tom Brady, and they just lit it up together, and all of a sudden they were BFFs for life. They pledged allegiance to each other publicly via Twitter and IG, and both said basically, wherever you go, I'm going to go. Even lately, Antonio has been campaigning publicly to join Tom Brady in Tampa, and now Bruce Arians has, boom, slammed that door. So I ask you first up, Mr. Sharpe, will Tom Brady have a problem with what Arians said yesterday about AB?
Absolutely not. Skip, this should go to show you. Let this sink in for just a second. As accomplished as Tom Brady is, as impeccable as his resume is, as unimpugned as his reputation is, he can't vouch for Antonio Brown because he's poisoned the water so much. Skip, my grandmother had a saying, Skip, and it says, she says, son, be careful of the toes you step on today. They might be on the foot, connected to the leg that leads to the butt you have to kiss tomorrow. Be careful how you treat people today because you never know who you're going to need tomorrow. You see what happens, Skip Bayless? Now, me, I played 14 years, had a lot of different head coaches, a lot of different offensive coordinators. Well, 4 head coaches, 3 offensive coordinators. Skip, I guarantee you, if they had moved somewhere else, I can go get a job. I've been in this business, Skip, for probably 15, 16 years. My former boss runs MLB Network, Tony Batiti. But if he went to another network and was doing something that, you know what? Hey, Shannon will be great for this. Guarantee you I can reach out to him and I get a job. All my former producers, when I worked at CBS, guarantee you I can go get a job. You see, Skip, there's a reason Antonio Brown does not have a job. He thought he was being cool. I'm going to do things my way. I'm my own boss. Bruh, you never going to be your own boss. You're going to have to answer to someone if you play a professional sport. Now, you own your own team, that's a different ball game. But you and I both know, Skip, that's not going to happen. Now he can't get a job. Two types of teams will sign Antonio Brown. Team that is desperate and a team that's a D-fool. Anybody that has any aspirations of going to and winning a Super Bowl ain't putting that guy in his locker room. He's poison. He's poisoned the water. He's poisoned the soil. So anything he could skip is called fruit of the poisonous tree. Anything that's around it is poison. Bruce Arians made it abundantly clear. He made it crystal clear. No way, no how. Even as Tom Brady has been on IG, liking his post, hang in there, brother, stay ready. Tom Brady and his resume and his character can't vouch for Antonio Brown. Let that sink in, people.
Before I respond to what you just said, allow me to say, you have got to write a book about everything your grandmother and your grandfather said, because your grandmother sounds like a cross between Mother Teresa and Indira Gandhi. I've never heard such wisdom spouted from one woman's mouth. I have learned so much from your grandmother, and you were so blessed to have both your grandmother and your grandfather raising you, and they did a pretty good job because you're a pretty great guy. So I congratulate them.
Thank you.
And now I go to Tom Brady. Yeah, thank you very much for that. I believe he will have a problem with Bruce Arians just unilaterally slamming that door yesterday. I didn't quite see that coming because Tom has been very open publicly about how much he loves Antonio, both as a player and, believe it or not, as a football player, like as a presence in the locker room. Tom loved his time, as short as it was, with Antonio. And I really thought that one reason Tom went to Tampa was to have a little more input into personnel decisions, just a little bit. I'm not talking about total control. I'm not talking about Bill O'Brien in Houston, where you're the head coach and you're the general manager and you make, the buck stops on your desk. I'm just talking about an open line of communication. And, Shannon, it's possible that behind closed doors, Tom's really saying, gee, he might be pretty tough for us to handle here. But I still thought that Antonio with Tom would have been a great fit in the Tampa offense, which obviously is already very good and very loaded. But I thought that Antonio would fit as the slot receiver, and I was singing the praises yesterday of the rookie from last year, little Scotty Miller, who's a 6th-round pick out of Bowling Green. He's only like 175 pounds, but he's got track speed. And I thought, well, maybe Tom will sort of fall in love with him as his new sort of Edelman, quasi-Amendola. But if you had Antonio Brown in the slot with those two Pro Bowlers outside, obviously Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and those two tight ends, which you could use together or separately, and you put Antonio in one slot, one side of the other, it's just uncoverable. But obviously it would require Tom Brady to be able to sort of ride herd over Antonio in the locker room, to be able to, so to speak, control him, to keep him under wraps, to keep him in bounds. And I believe Tom could have done that. Now, again, is there a money? Yeah, obviously Antonio's going to want some money. I don't know if he's going to play for the minimum. And obviously also, Shannon, I have no idea if or when Antonio will ever be reinstated, because as you and I know, we've talked about it 1,000 times on the show, that he's got so many issues against him right now in the commissioner's office that I don't even know if he'd be eligible to play next year. But if he is eligible at, let's say, mid-year, well, I just believe Tom would have made it fit in Tampa. So I'm a little surprised that Bruce was so adamant. I thought maybe he would just sort of gloss it over and say, we'll deal with that down the road. But he just said absolutely no. But you still think that Tom's going to have no problem with that, which surprises me, because I believe he will quietly have a problem.
Skip, you've heard B.A. speak since he's been a head coach. He's very matter of fact. He doesn't sugarcoat it. He doesn't kick the can down the road. He picks the can up, he addresses it, and either he'll drink from the can or he throws it away. It's as simple as that. So he said,
True.
basically, Skip, let this, and he's looking at it like this. Antonio Brown had Ben Roethlisberger. Now, I'm not saying Ben is the greatest leader. Both of these guys could have done something different, but he wanted out of that. He goes to Oakland, gets a reprieve. He messes that up. And then he goes to Tom Brady in New England. And all he has to do, Skip, is like, he says, I didn't do what they say I've done. What they're accusing me of, I didn't do. But I'm gonna let it play out in the court system. I'm gonna play football, I'm gonna go to practice, I'm gonna work my tail off, and I'm gonna let the court system handle it. He couldn't do that. So now Bruce Arians like, hold on, we got an opportunity to win the championship. I'm not bringing that in this locker room. I can't afford to. There's Skip, the risk is far greater than the reward. And so Bruce Arians says, I want no part of that. But let this be a lesson to all of those that's out there watching. Skip, you have to be careful how you treat people because you never